The journey for me started in primary school, I would say. I was constantly teased. I had very low self-esteem. I was teased about the size of my teeth, the color of my gums. It was hard. I didn't have much friends, and that for me contributed to my low self-esteem a whole lot. But I constantly had a need to really fit into a crowd that I clearly knew I didn't fit into. I was born to stand out, but at the time, as a child, every child wants to fit in. Every child wants to have that group of friends that they feel welcomed into and that they feel like they're loved. I remember the first day in my grade 7 class, and every child had long flowing hair, brown skin, and I was the one little black child that just looked like I just did not fit in again. I felt like I was segregated. I was different, and it showed. And so I searched for something to make me fit in, and I realized that all these children had boyfriends. You know, their parents allowed them to have boys come over, and they would have sleepovers, and my parents were strict from the get-go. They weren't always pastors, but they were always Christians, and they were strict. And I remember deciding, you know what, I'm going to fit in. I have to make friends. And so I made up the story of having a boyfriend. And my boyfriend at the time was 20. This is grade 7, right? And I told him about him bringing me roses and chocolates and all of that. I read it in like romance novels. I would hide the books under my pillows at night and I would read them. And so as I read a chapter, I'd go to school with that chapter and tell him that my boyfriend did this and did that. And the stories got them coming in. So I had people listening more, persons coming to sit with me at lunch because they wanted to hear the story. And eventually, it got to the point where I wanted to make these things a reality. I realized that outside of that, I was empty. I really had no friends. I had nothing. I met this guy. We moved in together. I got a job, so I was now able to cover bills and help to pay rent and all of that kind of stuff. I remember he posted a picture of both of us on New Year's and said, starting the year out right with W-R-I-G-H-T. That was so cute because my name is Wright and everything. And, I thought it was heaven sent. It was just amazing. He started seeing one of the girls he worked with. And that for me was where my life went completely downhill. He got disrespectful. The turning point for me was one night he got home really late and I decided I was going to go through his phone again. I grew the habit of going through his phone to find the truth because he would never tell me the truth. He was always lying. So I remember I went through his phone and I saw him sending messages to his co-workers. He had a group with his co-workers that he was telling them about his exploits with the girl. So they knew about everything. That's when I realized that everybody else knew about her except me. He actually said he loved her. In the messages he told one of his coworkers that he told me about her except the part about loving her and having sex with her. And I remember he was sending them voice notes about when your side chick gives it to you so good that you have to go home and have sex with your wife. And I was just like, what? And I scrolled and I listened to all the voice notes and I lost my mind. The things he was saying about her, the things he said about me, the things his co-workers were saying in response to him, I lost my mind. And I woke him up and I got crazy. I threw things at the wall, I mashed up my laptop, I broke colognes. I lost my mind and I was drinking and I was just begging God to end my life. Just end it now. It no longer made sense for me to be alive. Everybody knew that this was happening except me. And I thought I loved him. You know, I told myself I was really in love with him. And for him to do that to me, I don't think anybody else out there is for me or will treat me any better. And if this is love, I don't want love. So I wanted to die. I called my best friend and I told him what happened and he said to me, why are you still there? Even though I was hurting and I was angry and I was drunk, I wanted him to come home and tell me he was sorry. I wanted to start over. I wanted to do it with him. He told me I had to leave. I had to pack my things and leave his house. I said, excuse me? He didn't want to see me when he got home. Now, I was taken aback because I'm like, do you realize that you hurt me? What are you saying? And he was adamant he did not want to see me when he got home. I had to leave his house. I crossed the line and I had to leave. He told me how much of a mess I was, how damaged I was. She should never have been with me in the first place. This was all a mistake. And every time I read that message, I cried harder and harder. The next day I said, okay, I'm gonna pack my stuff and I'm gonna come home. I called my dad and I said, I'm coming home. He said, do you have money? I said, yes. I packed 2 suitcases and I boarded Knoxford and I came home. On the way home, he called me and asked me where I was and I said, I'm on my way home. He said, why? I said, you told me I had to leave. He said, I was just angry. I didn't mean any of that. I don't want you to leave me. And a part of me wanted to stop Knoxford, even though you can't stop the bus anywhere, you don't stop it anywhere. But I was like, are you stupid? Why did you leave him? A part of me wanted to stop the bus and turn back. But for some reason, I didn't. I stayed on that bus and I came home and my dad and my brother were in Savo waiting for me. When I came off the bus and I saw them, I just started to cry. I cried so much. I felt so broken. I felt so hurt. I felt like I disappointed my entire family. I felt like my mom would have been hurt to even hear what I had been through. I didn't even want to talk about it. I remember the Friday night they had church and I went out to church. I sat at the back and my dad was having a party. He had this table with some stuff on it and people brought stuff to put on the table and I'm like, what's going on? And he said, my daughter has returned home. And that for me was just, it broke me. He told me that he's been praying for me, they've been fasting for me, the entire church has been fasting and praying for me to come home. And I'm finally home. The prodigal daughter has returned home. And they were having a ball of fun, and for the first time I felt like I had a family. I felt like, for the very first time I felt like I was loved. I felt like I meant something to somebody. I wasn't just a piece of meat. I felt so much emotion, I just cried. And I remember my mom said to me, I'm not going to ask you to tell me what happened. I don't want to know what happened. I just want to know that you're okay. In dancing, I felt so much weight being lifted off me. It was the first time I was dancing in 4 years. I was just dancing and I felt, as I danced, I cried, I screamed. I was just doing several things I don't even know why I didn't break something because I was all over the place. And I fell. And my mom came and she said to me, I love you. And I remember she said the words to me, if I've ever disappointed you or let you down, I am sorry. And I realized then that I blamed my mom for most of what I went through. I blamed my stepdad for what I went through. I didn't take any of the blame for myself. I think the day I read in my mother's book that she hated me because I was a product of rape was the day when my life changed. And I didn't even realize it until she said to me, if I've ever let you down, I'm sorry. God has done such a marvelous work in my life. I can't even tell you or begin to tell you when it happened or how he did it, but I know that he did it and I am so, so grateful. I started my own brand called Dare to Dream, mainly because I wanted teenagers and young people to know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to not fit in. It's okay to be set apart and be used by God, and it's okay to dream. Not because you're a Christian means that you don't have dreams and you shouldn't go after your goals. Being a Christian means that it's even the more reason to go after your goals. God has a purpose for everybody's life. And when you find that purpose and you walk in it, it's so amazing how fulfilling and how happy you can be. I mean, I wanted to buy a purity ring, right? But my stepdad gave me his ring. And it's my purity ring. It's my symbol of being 2 years without messing myself up in any kind of way. I have not had sex. I have not had a partner. At one point in time, I thought I would never find a husband. I thought that God, nobody would want somebody with so much baggage and somebody with so many things happen to them. Miscarriages, abortions, several boyfriends, people who weren't even my boyfriend having sex with them. I didn't think actually that I'd be able to live that kind of life. I thought, you know what, God, nobody would want all that baggage, and if I can't tell you my truth and you be okay with that, then you don't deserve to be with me. Life doesn't end because you make one bad decision. Life doesn't end because you feel like you're not good enough. Life doesn't end at addiction. Life does not end at miscarriages, abortions. Life does not end for you because you mess up. Life continues because God has a purpose. Until that purpose is fulfilled, you will not be lost. He's not going to let you go until you fulfill that purpose. I'm here today and I'm in such a happy place. I mean, it's only God. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. My name is Denesha Wright and I live up for God.